There have been two scenes leaked for Spider-Man No Way Home, the bridge, which I am very excited for, and the opening scene. I have not watched them though because I want my theater reaction to be my first real reaction. This video is going over all my predictions and final thoughts before Spider-Man releases, such as my Mandalorian Season 2 final battle predictions I did. I'll be spilling out all my thoughts, predictions, and possibilities for this movie, including Venom and Tobey and Andrew.
Only Imperial soldiers. 66. Like it. Slap it on a t-shirt.
I spotted so many little details in the trailer breakdown, I wanted to expand on them a little more, and after watching Venom 2, I can actually expand on my theories. So, I wanted to talk about if Andrew and Tobey are actually going to appear. In the trailers, there have been some controversy that Tobey and Andrew aren't in it. And of course, Marvel and Sony aren't just going to reveal them straight off the trailers. But it is a little concerning that we don't even see them in what looks to be the final fight. These couple of shots in the trailer show MCU Spider-Man heading into battle against the four villains. But what's concerning is we may not get Tobey and Andrew till the final battle. This would be very disappointing. It may end up like the new Ghostbusters movie where the original Ghostbusters don't even show up until the very end and only get a total of 2 minutes of screen time. I would love them though to be introduced when the villains are, and we could see Tom struggling against Doc Ock and then Tobey swinging in and helping him. I'll talk about the bridge scene more later, but it would also be cool to see them introduced when the villains are. Get some awesome screen time, and like in Spider-Man 3, when Tom is at his worst, Tobey and Andrew swing in because we don't see them in the final fight in the trailer. And, of course, we get to see some MJ falling action in the final fight. I wanted to expand on the Spider-Minions newspaper in the beginning of the first trailer, and how it shows that Tobey and Andrew are actually going to appear. So, if you watched my trailer breakdown, the first thing I spotted was what was on the newspaper. So, the newspaper says Spider-Minions with a picture on it, and I never discussed the picture in my video. But looking back at it, the MCU is bringing the exact J. Jonah back. The photo shows what looks to be an unmasked Spider-Man using what looks to be Happy as a puppet. So J. Jonah Jameson is laying on the table that Peter Parker is somehow controlling Happy, or maybe even Stark Industries with Tony Stark giving him the glasses in Far From Home. Above the title, though, Spider-Minions is a subtitle. Peter Parker and an H. MJ's finger is covering the rest of the word, but most likely it's just HQ, since MJ is covering such a small portion of the title. So maybe this Peter Parker is communicating with Police HQ, as we can see in the trailer, about the situation. Just a theory like every video, and this video is going to be very specific, so don't judge me. But the main takeaway in this is the fact that the title is Spider-Minions, which does confirm Tobey and Andrew, as well as the fact that MJ talks about Peter Parker having the possible ability to hypnotize females to his likings, which is exactly what Bully Maguire did in Spider-Man 3, proving one of two things. Tobey is indeed back, and we could also see Tobey as Bully Maguire, but not likely. And the second one, which is most reasonable, is Eddie Brock from the Spider-Man movies is doing this. In the Venom movies, we see that Tom Hardy's symbiote doesn't attract females, but Tobey's did. This brings up a lot of questions, but all we know is the four villains, Green Goblin, Electro, Lizard, and Sandman, and Tom Hardy's Venom, which I think he could have something to do with the final battle as well, which brings up the next topic. So with Venom 2's crazy end credit scene placing Eddie Brock into the MCU, Venom seems pretty spooked. Most likely, Eddie Brock will have no reason to want to kill Peter Parker, but we all know Spider-Man movies, they come up with the crazy things to want villains to want to kill Peter, such as Tobey's Eddie Brock did. But I think he will definitely investigate who this Spider-Man and Peter Parker is, and it would be really cool to see all of the Multiverse's characters' reaction to the MCU, to Thanos, the Blip, who's Iron Man, Thor, or Captain America, and especially Spider-Man. I think Eddie would join Tom in the final fight against the villains, as in the third Spider-Man, they were equal numbers, Harry and Peter against Venom and Sandman, and it would only be fair if we have the three Spider-Men and Venom, and of course the villains pulling the classic let's kidnap MJ move. The bridge scene. I am pretty sure the bridge scene is where all of the villains are going to enter the MCU, and this would be the time Venom enters the MCU as well. It would be interesting to see Spider-Man fight Doc Ock, and we kind of already know his reaction.
You're not Peter Parker.
And it also looks like Green Goblin will appear as well in this scene. So here are all my predictions for the scene, which are with the given context, and it's going to be very specific. Doc Ock strikes his first attack, coming out into the multiverse, and Peter comes to the rescue on the bridge. They fight, and then Green Goblin appears, and now he has two villains on his hands. And here's why I don't think Tobey or Andrew aren't going to swing in to save the day, although that would be awesome, and I really want to see that. But we see them socialize in the trailer. We see Ned, MJ, and Peter socialize with Doc Ock with no conflict in the trailer. So Spider-Man gets rid of Green Goblin somehow, he sticks a grenade to him, and he crashes. Remember that. Doc Ock and Spider-Man fight until this scene. We switch to this scene where they're talking to each other. Now for my Green Goblin theory. Green Goblin. So, as I was saying, Green Goblin crashes after his fight with Spider-Man, and he ends up in an alleyway, and he finds that his mask is cracked, useless now. He only has his suit, and he later finds out that this isn't his universe, so there is absolutely no point in wearing his mask. He throws away the mask and takes on a brown robe to somewhat cover his face. I cannot wait for this new look. He looks super cool in this suit. Taking on the original suit. Kinda sounds familiar. So the movie goes on. Hopefully, we get screen time for Tobey and Andrew. Specifically Tobey, the best Spider-Man, no doubt about it. And not just show up at the end of the movie like the Ghostbusters, but actually get some reasonable screen time. Spider-Man gets a new suit, and maybe we see him take on Venom, but probably not. And he chases after Green Goblin, which is this quick shot of a man pointing that way and Peter running that way. The villain I'm most excited to see is hands down Green Goblin with his new suit. It's confusing to hear Dr. Strange say that all of the villains died fighting Spider-Man, but Sandman didn't. Of course, this could just be that he was abbreviating and he was just saying out of all of them, most of them died. And they talked it out and he ran away, which is what what happened in Spider-Man 3 with Sandman. It would also be cool to see a Spider-Man 2 reference where J. Jonah Jameson is trying to come up with villain names and comes across Doctor Strange like he did in Spider-Man 2 and say, no, that one's taken, because it's already taken.
Guy named Otto Octavius winds up with 8 limbs. What are the odds? Hoffman!
Yeah?
What are we gonna call this guy?
Dr. Octopus.
That's crap.
Science Squid?
Crap.
Doctor Strange.
That's pretty good. But it's taken.
And we actually get to see a Doctor Strange movie, and then we're going to see the second Doctor Strange movie, I think in like 2-3 years, which I am beyond excited for. And it's under the category of horror movie, so I'm still going to watch it, even though I'm not a huge fan of horror movies. Those are all my theories on the new Spider-Man movies, and this movie is breaking records for tickets sold, so make sure you guys have your tickets. And if Tobey and Andrew don't appear, a lot of people are going to be disappointed, including me.
See you, chump.